Welcome back to Be the Good with Kate, the show that inspires each of us to see how we have the power to make a difference all around us. Each episode highlights an individual doing good in the world while following their passions, good for their own souls and for others. I get so excited about sharing each and every episode of Be the Good with you, and I hope you enjoy these people and stories. If you're new here, welcome, and if you are returning, thank you so much for your support. I'm so glad you found Be the Good with Kate and would love to hear from you. If you're finding value in these episodes, I invite you to share with someone who could also use this dose of good news, or tag me on social with your favorite quote from the episode. Every share, subscriber, review, and comment helps me to share these guests' wonderful work to more people. Thank you for your help in this. Now, on to this week's episode. Let's spread a little more goodness in the world.
Today on Be the Good with Kate, I'm so happy to introduce you to Dr. Kelly Kessler. Kelly is a licensed physical therapist, wellness coach, host of the podcast Rewiring Health, and the owner of Optimal You Health and Wellness, LLC. Kelly teaches women who have a history of an eating disorder how to regulate their nervous system to achieve relief from chronic pain through her signature method, Eating Disorder Pain Solutions. Inspired by her own journey of recovering from an eating disorder and chronic back pain, Kelly has helped many women harness their profound ability to shift from survival mode to thriving. Kelly uses an integrative approach to healing, including a personalized audit, education, community support, and actionable steps to create long-lasting results. And we also just discovered that we are both from New Jersey originally, and that's where Kelly's talking to me from today. So Kelly, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, absolutely. And thank you so much for having me on. I'm looking forward to this.
My pleasure. And such an important topic for sure that I feel like this can't be talked about with different perspectives enough. So please, I gave a little bio, but tell everybody a bit more about who you are and what you do in your own words.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So I never intended to do what I do today in the big scheme of things. I've kind of just found my way, and it's like I really feel like it's my true purpose to do what I'm doing. So it kind of found me, I feel like. But I went through an eating disorder through my late teens, mid 20s for about 6 to 7 years. And the nature of my eating disorder was that I was bulimic. So I started purging through exercise, and then I started purging through vomiting as it kind of progressed. It was a long battle. So to keep it short, I ended up recovering from that in my mid 20s, but found myself in a place where I had chronic back pain from it. And I didn't realize they were connected until much later on. So that wasn't very clear to me, but all I knew is that I had chronic back pain. I was in my mid 20s, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I feel like I'm way too young to be experiencing this. And I went to a clinician, and they said, you only have half your disc height at L4, L5, and it's only going to get worse. And so I just was in really like dark, hopeless place for a long time. And just like, I'm like, eventually want to have kids. I, want to live my life. I love being athletic. I love being active. Like this can't be my forever. So fast forward many years, I went through physical therapy school and started doing all the things I learned there on me. And again, no relief. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even help myself. Like, this is crazy. And it was only when I started realizing that my stress levels were corresponding to my back pain. Like when I was really stressed, my back pain was like off the charts. When I felt a little bit better, it wasn't so bad. And then I started working through that, dove in head first to learn everything I could, and then started applying it. And really that was like the open door to experience relief. And so, now I'm in a position where I want to help others who were where I was years ago and felt hopeless and like they didn't know where to turn, or they just don't want to live like this. And so that's what brought me to my mission today, to help individuals who've had an eating disorder and now have pain subsequent to it.
Wow. And I'd love to go back real quick. Can
Sure.
you just tell people a little bit more about how you were able to work through the eating disorder to then get past it?
Yeah, absolutely. So it was extremely hard for me, especially because of the nature of my eating disorder. I was an over exerciser. So for me, I would be at the gym after breakfast, after lunch, after dinner, running the roads at 3 a.m. while everyone was going out to the bars. I mean, I just pound the pavement all hours of the day. So I feel like looking back at it, my pivotal moment, not that I like, okay, I'm going to recover from here on out, but I had just run miles. I had eaten a lot, and then I had thrown up twice, and I was sitting on my floor, just shaking. My heart was pounding. And I was just like, just crying. And I'm like, I don't want to live like this anymore. And so that was the moment I felt like I want to get out of this, but I don't know how, And so I'm a headstrong person. I will figure it out. So I truly believe the same determination that kept me in it helped me get out of it. Mm-hmm. And I just took the smallest steps I could. If I stopped exercising by 1 minute a day, that was a success. And I just kind of took the small steps out of it. It wasn't a linear journey. There were many setbacks. There were times that I felt great, and it was tough, but it took me several years to get to a point where I felt like I wasn't at least tethered by it. And then this was many years ago, but it's like, it's kind of always with you, but it doesn't control you anymore. And that's where I'm very free from it. It doesn't affect my life, but it's not that you don't have those glimpses of like who you used to be from time to time.
It's interesting over the years, I'm in the fitness world and the dance and performing world, and, just a history with food in general too myself, that talking to people, there are people that will totally relate to exactly what you said and be able to feel all of that feeling of that, like you said, determination, staying in it, determination helped you get out of it. And then I think there's also those people that food is just food. It's just fuel. And they eat because they're hungry and stop when they're done. And that is just not like, it's so normal for some people and so abnormal for others. But regardless of where someone is hearing your story, there's so much that we can all relate to too, in that idea of there's always something that's pulling us down, or that's trying to, what's the word I'm looking for, like maneuver life off the path we want it to be on, and finding that determination, that strength, and also that acceptance of where we are and then where we want to be. That's so huge. So I just admire you so much for being able to work through that.
Thank you. Yeah. It's like, I look back and then I'm like, how did I do that? But it really is like, I just took kind of one day at a time, and it was multiple years it was. So it wasn't like, overnight thing, but, I had one friend who was there for me and just listened. So I definitely am grateful for her. And the same thing, I dove in head first, just like I did with the back pain. Like, what can I do for myself? I just figured out how I could just change my mindset around anything just to get some kind of foothold. And then it's like that opened up the door for the next little foothold. And that's kind of what I did, was just take step-by-step process to just think differently and choose different things.
Well, it is just incredible, every day to be doing that. And it's something so that, other people don't know around you that's going on. And it's a part of your whole life every day. So just absolutely amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Of course. And now jumping ahead, then you threw the energy you had said to then being able to help yourself with back pain, and then realizing you could help others. Can you tell a little bit more about that path of going from realizing that this is something that you can work through and heal from, to then now helping clients with that?
Yeah. So I had approached the back pain strictly from like a mechanical point of view, like, okay, what's shortened, what's weak, what are the imbalances? Like, I was looking at my body from every aspect, like, what's going on in my spine. And my husband's a physical therapist too. So now I have somebody who can help me, like, oh, can you try this manipulation? Okay, that didn't help, so I was literally looking at it just from like an orthopedic approach. And so when I started just like doing some breath work, and one day, and I had watched this documentary called Heal, and I was like, it's really about the power of the mind to change your life. And this was particularly about health conditions, like significant health conditions. And I'm like, well, this is interesting. Like, it just like kind of left a little seed in my head. I'm like, well, let me like try some of these things, So I started doing breath work, started doing some like intuitive movement, started reading and listening to podcasts that had to do with all that. And really, it was like my pain started dissipating. It didn't impact me like it was. Like before I was having trouble just driving to work. I had an hour commute to work. I had to stop to stretch because I couldn't make it the full hour. I wasn't sleeping at night. I had trouble tying my shoes. So like all those things started to get gradually better. And I'm like, wow, this is pretty amazing, So it's like, once you have that little glimmer of hope, it's like, that's your momentum, you know? So I just kept going into learning everything I could about the nervous system. And that's the more I learned, the more I realized that the eating disorder I had experienced had caused so much dysregulation in my system, because it was like years of micro traumas. Like, and I had lived in such a different realm of what's authentic to me. Like, I was this persona to everybody that everything is perfect. I'm an athlete. Everything's great. Like, people called me Smiley because I was smiling all the time. I'm like, if you only knew what was going on in my heart, like, I'm not that person. So I felt like there was this dissonance for years that I was portraying a different image of what I felt. And I feel like that compounding on top of everything else that I had been experiencing emotionally was just embedded in my system. And as I kind of started bringing awareness to that, it allowed me to kind of release that from my body. And it really was the game changer. So having that experience and going through it myself, and then working as a physical therapy in a corporate setting, I started applying that to some of my patients, and they also were seeing tremendous results. And I'm like, you know what? I feel like I'm being stifled by how much I can actually help people in the corporate setting. So the pandemic was a blessing in disguise. I got furloughed, and it really became my opportunity to take this full time.
Great. And now you see clients virtually and in person now, correct?
Just virtually now.
Just virtually.
Yeah,
okay.
Just virtually. Yeah. So I have an online course, and then do like coaching alongside with that.
Fantastic. Have you found it to be, and maybe there's not one aspect, but that you see the biggest results with clients and with your own pain? Is it the breath work? Is it the just being mindful of what's going on? Is there one major shift, or is it a collection of many? That makes sense.
I found it to be a collection of many, because everyone responds differently. So things that have worked for me may not be necessarily best for someone else, but it's finding out what's resonating with you. So there's, some people just benefit tremendously from just visual work. So working through the visual system, some the vagus nerve, some a combination of that. So it really is like, what I do is I give you all the tools and then allow you to kind of figure out what's working for your system. And it really is it's individualized, but there is a system that does work as far as the consistency, having the support, having the accountability throughout it, and giving yourself a moment to implement self-care without the guilt. And I think that's what a lot of the people I work with, they feel guilty for taking care of themselves because they're so used to helping everyone else before themselves. They're people pleasers. They're empathetic people, like they're good people, but they never really take care of themselves. And that's really the big part of it.
I'm so glad there's a greater and greater focus on all of this, because for so many years it was either like a diagnosis and that was it, or you just ignored the feelings and pushed it aside. So I'm so glad that more and more people are bringing these alternative therapies to the foreground, and they're just the things that are getting to the root of the issue, not the band-aids. And 100%. Can you share any of those good news moments from maybe client stories or just things you've observed over the years of people finding that relief? I mean, your own story is such a great news moment in of itself, but
So, one that sticks out to me is I had worked with this woman, and when I went and saw her, I looked through her whole medical history, and it was like multiple autoimmune disorders. Like, she had gone through the ringer with medications, procedures. She was completely inundated in the medical system. And while I'm not, the medical system absolutely serves a purpose, but for this woman, it was to her detriment, because she was so focused on everything that was, quote, wrong with her and everything that was negative about her health, that it was so ingrained in her head that she was never going to be healthy, that she would always live like this. And so working with her and giving her something different that she had never had before allowed her to just open up to the possibility of something different. And she went from sitting on her couch, basically not even really moving, to walking around her house with a walker. So that for her, it's all relative, but that for her, that was an amazing progress. And then she also, every time she was having a flare up, she had the tools to go back to help her system relax and calm down. Whereas before, when she would have a flare up, she was actually passing out multiple times. So her husband always had to be home with her because she was passing out. So she was, even though her pain didn't go away completely, this in a short period of time, she had tremendous improvement in her function. And to me, that was a huge success. And as she continued down working with these things, she only got better. So that was
fantastic.
Mhm.
Fantastic. Another question, kind of almost the flip of that, but that popped up. Is there something that sticks out as the most challenging part of your job now in trying to help these clients find their way?
Yeah. I think the biggest challenge is that for the most part, many of the people I've worked with have been told for years that, just like this one, what's wrong, everything that's wrong with them. And they've been put in a place where they feel hopeless, where they feel like there's something innately wrong with them. And they continually just focus on that and focus on their body being their enemy. And so I think the biggest barrier to this is just getting people over the hump where they can change that perspective that you don't have to live like this forever. Your body's not your enemy. It's actually your advocate. And if you can learn to see that it's just giving you messages because there's a lot going on in the brain, essentially, as far as the dysregulation that's manifesting physically. So I think honestly, the perspective, the mindset, and those subconscious messages that people have is the biggest barrier.
Perspective and mindset. I can't tell you how much that comes up. And I mean, I know you know this too, from being in just various health industries. I mean, be it from my performing side of life, fitness side of life, talking to so many guests on the podcast, perspective and mindset. It just keeps coming up as the thing that is the ultimate change agent. So
Absolutely.
I love that you mentioned that too.
Yeah, it makes a big difference because again, our thoughts become our beliefs when we attach emotion to them. And then that becomes who we become. That's our being. So even though we don't see it happening, it's always happening. Every time you gain information, if you are emotionally attaching to it, whether it's positive or negative, it becomes part of you. And our subconscious runs 95% of our lives. So it becomes a problem when it's not the right dialogue that we're telling ourselves all the time.
And you just opened that door to what I saw on your website today. You mentioned Atomic Habits. This is not the first time I brought it up on the podcast. I love the book. I love what he's doing. James Clear, for people listening, if you're not familiar with it. And he talks so much about that. Like if you tell yourself, oh, I'm not a morning person, or, oh, I'm a sweets person, you're just reconfirming that in yourself. And if you just keep saying, I'm a sweets person, I can't give up sugar, you're never going to give up sugar until you at least start to reframe that. Or I'm not a morning person, then good luck trying to work out in the morning or whatever it is. And I'm sure you must see this every day then with clients trying to change those sentences.
100%. The most powerful statement you can make is an I am statement. So it's like you literally will direct your life but just by saying who you are. So it's like you have to be very cautious of those I am statements. You can say that, I'm feeling this way right now, but is that truly who you are? So it's like removing yourself from that. Are you truly a sad person? Or are you just feeling sad right now? And it's a nuance, but it makes all the difference for how we program our brains.
I feel like I just want to take those last 20 seconds of this episode and then just copy paste about 4 times for the audience to listen to before they can get on to the next part. But that's huge. That is so huge and so needed to be shouted from the rooftops.
Yes, absolutely.
So speaking of all these kind of quotes and quips here, is there any saying or mantra that you have come back to over the years through your own struggles and now struggles as a business owner and health journey that help you and help motivate you?
Yeah. One that sticks out to me is no problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. And that for me just completely resonated with me because I look back at who I was when I was going through an eating disorder and I'm like, it feels like a stranger I talk about. I'm like, I don't even know that person in a way. It's like, I'm so removed from it because I'm a different person today than I was then. And that's because my level of consciousness has grown from then. So I was able to help myself because I've allowed myself to grow consciously to remove myself from what that has become. And it really is what our brains are telling us and what we're telling ourselves is where we're going to move. So, if we're trying to fix our problems and not allowing ourselves to grow internally, we're never going to do that.
That's such a good one. Such a good one.
Oh, thanks.
And then a question I would ask everyone, I love hearing the answers to, is if someone came to you and they said, I see all the good you're doing for others, I want to make a difference in the world, but I feel overwhelmed, I don't know where to start. Is there any advice you'd give them?
Yeah, I mean, kind of going off Atomic Habits, this is big for me and it works for me and it's worked for many people. Start as small as you absolutely need to. That is like the biggest thing, because honestly, momentum follows action. So the minute you can take the smallest action that you're able to today, you're going to get an energy about it that makes you want to keep going. And then you can add another action on. And it's that compounding action that creates a different reality. So if you can take that and decrease your overwhelm by not feeling like you have to overhaul your life, that's the biggest golden token right there.
Yes, that one step. And I love how you said momentum creates action.
Yeah, follows action.
Or follows action rather.
Yeah.
I love that. That's such a good one. Oh, fantastic. This has been so quotable, Kelly. Can you tell us a little bit more about your programs you're offering and where people can find you online?
Sure. Yeah. So my program is Eating Disorders Pain Solutions. So what it does is it goes through the whole process of auditing what's causing nervous system dysregulation in yourself. So it's an individualized audit. And then I run you through looking at your subconscious messages. How can we change those? And then giving you all the tools for nervous system dysregulation and allowing you to pick what is going to fit you and your life. And it's all in the premise of like Atomic Habits, starting very small, not inducing overwhelm, and allowing you to proceed in a way that's fitting for you. So that's my program. And then people can find me at optimalu, healthandwellness.com. And then on the social is Dr. Kelly Kessler.
Great. And you offer so many resources on your website and Instagram and everything. So definitely check that out. And Kelly, I cannot thank you enough for being here and talking with me today.
Oh, sure. Well, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this.
In taking classes over the years or observing workout videos, one major piece that is often missing: stressing safety and form. Additionally, group fitness classes are often marketed as being open to all levels, yet how often do instructors not give modifications nor progressions so that each participant truly can get what he or she needs out of the class? So that's why I created the 101 series, which take things back to basics with 3 separate courses: Bar 101, Pilates 101, and HIIT 101, focusing on safety and efficiency so you can maximize your workouts. Be confident when you step into a group fitness class or workout on your own. Be strong in your execution of the most common exercises, and be proud of yourself for taking these huge steps forward on your health journey. Check it out at bebykate.com. The link is in the show notes. Thanks so much for listening to Be the Good with Kate Chericello. Whether you're listening on YouTube or via podcast, it would mean the world if you liked, subscribed, and or left a review. You heard about the good? Now go out and be the good in your life this week. If you have stories of good news that need to be shared, please send me a message. Thanks again, and have a great week.